In this video, we're going to walk you through how to create reusable WordPress templates or blueprints, otherwise known as WP Canvas, in your RunCloud dashboard. This is incredibly useful if you frequently spin up sites and want to automate the process of installing plugins, themes, and so on by pre-installing them as you create a web application. Alright, so let's get straight to it. To create your first WP Canvas, simply log into your RunCloud dashboard. And once here, head to your settings area. You can do this by clicking Settings in the left sidebar here, or by clicking on your profile picture in the top right of the dashboard, and then clicking on Settings there. Once you're in your settings area, under the Workspace section here, you'll see an option listed as WordPress Canvas. Please note that if you're creating your canvas in a personal space, this will also be located here, but instead of the section in your setting being labeled Workspace, it will be labeled Personal Space. So, as expected, to proceed, you'll want to click WordPress Canvas. This will take you to the page where you can see a list of all the WordPress Canvas starter templates you created. Assuming you're doing this for the first time, your list will be just as empty as mine is. To create a new canvas, we'll hit Create a New Canvas here. You'll then be taken through the process of creating your first canvas, starting with giving it a suitable name. For the purposes of this example, we're going to use the scenario we use for various other tutorials, which is Acme Hosting Inc. being a hosting company and service business that owns this workspace. And we're creating a WP Canvas for the purpose of rapidly spinning up client sites with our preferred defaults out of the box. As such, I'll name this one Acme Hosting Client Starter. This is then followed by a handful of cleanup options, including being able to remove the Hello World post and sample page that are automatically created when WordPress is first installed, removing all default themes, uninstalling all default plugins, and removing installation files, including the WP config sample and README files. Acme Hosting Inc. doesn't benefit from keeping any of these on sites because removing them are among the first things we do every single time anyway. So, unless you like having a default theme as a backup to switch to for debugging, you're typically going to want to enable all of these here. Next up, in this section here, we can add themes. This right here will only allow us to add themes from the official WordPress repository. Adding custom themes and plugins is also possible, and I'll show you how later in this video. Next, you can pre-install your preferred plugins. Again, this section here specifically relates to plugins that are available in the official WordPress plugin repository. At Acme Hosting Inc., we have 5 that we install on every client site, as we have a relatively standardized stack. First up, we have Active Campaigns Postmark for WordPress plugin, which we use as our transactional mail service. This is followed by PatchStack, our preferred WordPress security solution. And after that, we have the Rank Math SEO plugin, which just so happens to be our preferred SEO plugin of choice right now. Others, including Yoast and SEO Press, are also great. And last but not least, we want to add the two-factor WordPress plugin from the plugin contributors team. Alright, so that about wraps it up for the plugins and themes we want to install from the official WordPress repository. Next up is where we can add custom plugins and themes. By custom, we simply mean ones that aren't publicly available in the WordPress repository. Adding them to this canvas in the RunCloud dashboard is incredibly easy, but a prerequisite is that you have a download link where the plugin or theme is available and publicly accessible, so not restricted by any authentication mechanism. At Acme Hosting, we're quite big fans of UpCloud and object storage. And thankfully, UpCloud makes it incredibly easy. Their plans start at €5 per month, but other providers like Hetzner, Vultr, AWS, all also offer similar solutions. For the sake of keeping this walkthrough simple, I'll take you through the process of creating object storage in UpCloud. If there's enough interest, we will cover the process of setting this up with other cloud providers in future tutorials. So, from your UpCloud dashboard, in the left sidebar here, head to Object Storage. From there, click Create Object Storage. This will take you to the process of configuring this object storage service. We'll select Europe as our region simply because it is the region closest to where the majority of our servers are located. Next, we'll make sure that we allow public access and give our instance a suitable name. In this case, we'll just use Acme-Hosting. Now that you've created the object storage service itself, you'll need to create a bucket, as this defines how you'll access and group files within this storage service itself. To do so, we'll head to Buckets here and then click Create Bucket. I'll then name this WordPress, as we will use this to store files related to WordPress work. Now that this is done, we need to add some files to the bucket we've just created. To do that, we will also need to create a user, as this defines how this storage service is accessed. Doing so is very easy. Simply head to your Users tab here and then hit add user. My name is Alex, so I will just set the username here to Alex as well, and then hit add. Make a note of the access and secret key values here, as you will need them later when you want to connect to your storage service. Now that we've successfully created our user, we will go ahead and assign a policy to that user. The policy we assign will define the permissions that this user has. I'm going to be using this user to upload files, so I will assign the full access policy just to make life easy. You may want to assign different permissions so that the scope of what this specific user can do are limited, especially if you're intending on sharing access to this object storage service with others on your team. To attach the policy, I simply hit policy here, followed by selecting the full access policy from the dropdown here, and then clicking attach. Now we should be all set to connect and upload files to our new storage bucket. My preferred S3 compatible desktop client to use for this is Commander 1. There are, of course, others available. You can pick your favorite just by looking for S3 compatible file managers for Mac, Windows, or Linux. For those of you who are developers, there are also other ways you can do this in the command line, but I prefer being able to do it in the UI here, as that also gives me something more interesting to show all of you watching this video. To create a new connection in Commander 1, you need to hit this Connections Manager icon here, which looks a bit like a folder with a paperclip underneath it. Then, from here, select Amazon S3, name the connection something suitable like Acme Hosting, and then copy over the access and secret key that was shown when creating the user earlier. Copy over the URL from the object storage overview here, and last but not least, enter the bucket name in the last field. Then, when ready, hit connect. And that's it. We're now connected to our new OddCloud storage bucket. We can now upload all the premium themes and plugins we want here. For the purpose of this tutorial, I'll upload Perf Matters, Automatic CSS, Bricks Child, and Bricks Main, all at once. Now that we're all done with this, we can finally come back to the RunCloud dashboard. In other words, back to our happy place. This last step, as you'd come to expect from almost everything in the RunCloud dashboard, is super simple. We just select the type, so theme or plugin we want to add, name it, and then copy the link over from Commander 1. Out of respect for your time watching this video, we'll go ahead and fast forward the process of doing this for each of the individual plugins. And now that these are added, we can also decide whether we want to both install and activate the plugins and themes, or just install them and leave them as inactive when this canvas is used to spin up a new web application. Moving on, we have the remainder of the predefined settings, including your site language, time zone, and date format. All of these settings are configured to defaults that are suitable for most, but feel free to customize them to your liking here. The only one we'll be changing in this case is setting the permalink structure to custom permalink, and then setting it to a permalink structure that depends blog to the posts in the default post type, as this is how most sites should be handling content on their site anyway. And congratulations, you've now just created your first canvas. But I'm not going to leave you hanging just there. I'll now quickly show you where you can apply this canvas when creating new web applications in your RunCloud dashboard. Heading back to servers and then selecting our Bark in Order server and hitting deploy new web app here, as if we're going to create a new web application as usual, we will now find our newly created canvas when we scroll down to the WordPress section here. To apply the defaults we've set in this canvas we just created, I'll simply select it from the drop-down menu here and then proceed with creating my web application as usual. And that's it. You're all set to speed up your workflow by letting RunCloud automate the process of setting up your new WordPress web applications with your preferred defaults. Thanks for watching, and as always, if you have absolutely any questions for us, please feel free to reach out to our support team. We are always here to help.